Yes, Mr. Aurelius, I have him here, yes. 400 years in isolation. Thank you very much. Yours truly also has a deceased family member that was a prisoner in Romania. He was arrested in Greece and he was sent in this facility and he lost his foot. Dar ce am găsit noi aici, de fapt?
Pot să explic. Este Acropola.
Așa.
Și Partenonul.
Așa.
Au fost niște...
Mai, nu mi-ai zis că aici erau Habsburgii?
Acesta este un canal de dejecție pentru rahatul
Habsburg?
cailor Habsburg.
Now, let me show you the real reason why I decided to come here. So this city was the starting point of the revolution, the Romanian revolution against the communist regime. First of all, the same people who were back there in the excavation also built this. In December 1989, the local students decided to express their frustration against the regime in front of this building. That is the Opera House. Basically, they wanted change and they wanted to be part of the Western world. Of course, the regime did not sit and watch. They brought the army and they started bullying the students. Shots were fired. You can basically still see the bullet holes on this building, which is ironically the McDonald's now. At one point, the students ended up in front of the church. They basically looked for refuge in the church. When they actually tried to open the doors, they found them locked. And this person here was basically one of the victims. The revolution in Romania lasted 10 days. On Christmas Day of 1989, Ceaușescu was executed. Imagine being on top of that balcony, trying to mobilize the whole nation to demand basic freedom of speech and movement. Look at this glorious place. We are in a place called Doftana, somewhere in central Romania. Here is the former penitentiary of Doftana. Said penitentiary was actually a famous one. I mean, it was named the Romanian Bastille. Former rulers were imprisoned here as young prisoners. One of them being Nicolae Ceaușescu. Hey, doggo. What is it? How are you, mate? Look at this, man. Wow. Now, as you can see, the building is totally broken. Exit here. In this prison, both communist and fascist prisoners were held. And both fractions were basically preparing their own fights. Look at this. Trust me when I say this, the camera does not do it justice. Now, not a very optimistic message you see here. Now, the story of the place itself is also not very clear to me. I mean, it was used up to a certain point as a museum for some sort of propaganda reasons. And suddenly it was abandoned. Look at this, man. The first floor cells. And over there was the guard. This part is ready to collapse. This is it. Basically a 3x2 meter cell. Yours truly also has a deceased family member that was a prisoner in Romania. Not in this prison, but in another one at a town called Pitești. Only a few days after the events in Timișoara, Nicolae Ceaușescu and his wife Elena decided to flee from Bucharest. You do get a little bit of Kafka universe feeling here. Look at this place, man. Ceaușescu and his wife basically departed from Bucharest with a helicopter. Now their initial purpose was basically to fly to a village where some family members were. Now the helicopter pilot actually landed here. Explaining that there are some issues and he has to land here. And the rest is history. Look at these phones. Apparently the red phone was for true emergencies. And the flag, this was the flag during the communist regime, Republica Socialista. Here was the place where the trial happened. You see the prosecutor seat. This was the seat of Nicolae and Elena Ceaușescu. And here was the commission, the military court. Dark, humid place. Nicolae and Elena protested that the whole trial thing was a farce. But as the former Romanian Prime Minister admitted after all, It was a necessary process. And this is basically where Nicolae and Elena Ceaușescu spent their last 2 days before their execution. Let's see. Yeah. During the whole process, both Nicolae and Elena Ceaușescu protested. Even their lawyer was basically brought without any preparation just to be there for typical reasons. Many foreign governments actually protested about this whole process, but the answer was always the same. It was necessary. Which gives me the creeps a little bit. I mean, no matter what the crime, because there were crimes committed by those two. Necessary? I don't know. Back in the day, when I was a student here, the name of Ceaușescu was very often in the discussion with the locals. No matter if the locals were my colleagues in the university or my Romanian neighbors. Communism was already 10, 11 years finished in this country. However, the former members of the Communist Party were very much in the politics of the country still. The amount of corruption that followed the revolution was, as expected, out of this world. Basically, all of a sudden, we the people, became very poor. Back in the day, we didn't have products to buy. We had to wait in line with coupons. Now, we do have the products to buy, but we don't have the money. What it says here is the experiment of Pitești, of this town. Now, this one is actually a museum. There won't be any sneaking in like the other one. A true experiment. Now, if you think that my dear family member lost his foot here, probably it was an experiment. Look at this phone, man. Yes, Mr. Aurel, yes, you're totally innocent. Yes, just a moment. Hello? Yes, Mr. Aurel, yes, I have him here, yes. 400 years in isolation, thank you very much. So this one here was basically the room where re-education took place. Now, what is re-education? Is basically a series of tortures in order to abandon your faith or whatever ideology you had before, and basically accept everything that this institution wanted you to accept. Now, one of the interesting stories here is about this particular man who was basically a fascist. He was a member of the extreme right youth organization of Romania. Right after communism came into power, he repented and he joined the Communist Party. And it was basically his idea, this whole re-education system. Now, The story of my family member is that he was arrested in Greece and he was sent for re-education purposes here in this facility. And he lost his foot. I don't know what to think about this particular person here. It being a museum now basically takes a little bit away from the whole impact. However, having a personal story here, a family story, changes everything. Like what? I am in Bucharest at a friend's house and I want to show you a little bit some minor details about this place. First of all, let's have a look at the ceiling. Look at all that lovely detail. And second of all, look at the beauty of this table. All these are basically newspaper fragments. Look at this. Ceaușescu, no matter what the conditions of his execution, was basically responsible for the deaths of thousands. He was also responsible for the aesthetic strangulation of this city. One of the things that his megalomania built up was basically this building here. He even had the audacity to call it the House of the People. You see, Ceaușescu destroyed some 60-70% of the Baroque kind of buildings of Bucharest, and he replaced all those buildings with these types of blocks, apartment blocks, basically hideous, ugly ones where you could stuff a lot of people to live in. This is the metro station of the Polytechnic University. The floor of this station is built with marbles from the mountains. What they never realized was that these marbles contained fossils, literally millions of year old fossils.